All right, welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to go through what my SorareEdge subscription entitles you to, the different levels, break down the main NBA sheet that every member has access to, tell you what you're looking at there, go through our Discord channel, show you what to look at over on the Discord, and then for premium members, we have our lineup organizer file, and I want to run through how that process works. So this is a little bit of an update from the video I made in October. A couple things have changed, and as with everything here, it's dynamic, it's always changing. We encounter new issues, we try to solve them in real time. So we make changes as we go. Anyway, let's dive into the subscription, starting with the basic. All right, so when you sign up for either package, the basic or the premium, you get viewer access to what I call my main sheet. This is my NBA projection sheet, and you'll see all these tabs at the bottom. I'm just gonna run through quickly what they all mean. The first tab over here is my cap droppers tab. This allows you to see what the cap of a player is going to be after the lock of the upcoming game week. So let's say it's Monday, December 15th today. It is. We're about 6 hours from lock. You can see that after lock today, Aaron Wiggins is going to fall from 25 all the way down to 20. Now, Aaron Wiggins, peripheral player, needs some injuries to be a factor, but there are guys in this group that you'll see their levels dropping to something that is very playable. Wembanyama drops to 49, Benedict Mathurin down 4 to 26, Jared Allen all the way down to 25. So these are things you can use for potential flips. You can use to see who you're going to want in upcoming game weeks. Then we look at the number we also have the number of games in the upcoming game week, not this one, but the next one. So you can see who you might want to take a look at. So just a tool we can use. Beat the rush to the market on a lot of these guys. Most of the Sorare crowd is pretty reactive. If you can see this stuff ahead of time, it does give you a leg up. Saves you a little money here and there. We have a quick play tab. So the way this works is it takes a base projection, not the ceiling projection that we normally use here at SorareEdge, but a base projection. Takes the L10, adds 5, and then we'll subtract the base projection from that L10 plus 5, so you get a rating, and it'll show you who your best quick play options are each day. Basically takes the projection, adds 1 standard deviation, factors in the defensive rating of the team that they're facing, comes up with a ceiling projection for each player, and then subtracts that number from the current L10 to give you a number here, ceiling minus L10. This is what we use to find value. And same for our game week tab. So we're looking at all 4 games in the upcoming week, 3 or 4, depending on whether it's a weekend or a weekday set. We have the whole schedule here. The projections change based on which team you're playing against. So if you're playing Utah, you can have a higher projection because they're a worse defensive team. If you're playing Detroit, it's going to be a little lower. We take the higher of the 2 or 3 or however many games they have as our base max projection here. And again, we're adding in that standard deviation to get the ceiling and then subtracting the current L10 to get the ceiling minus L10. That's how we find our values each week. Give that tab to check out. Value by L10 tab shows you the best MVP plays. You're basically looking for value here. It just is sorted by L10, so you can see the highest ones first. And then if you see something sticking out, right now it's Anthony Davis sticking out, although at 43 he's not really an MVP. He'd be somebody you can fit in with an MVP. It looks like Luka's probably your best actual MVP right now with so many of them injured. And with Wemby still on a minute restriction. Update the injury report a few times a day as news breaks. So this is information I just download, a CSV from RotoWire of the injury report, and as they update it, as this page gets updated, you'll see the injury designations change here and here. And this is my game logs page, so I have game logs all the way back to the start of the season for every player in the league. So if you want to come look at a certain player, see how they've been doing lately, let's say you're interested in Ben Mathurin, a couple of down games, a couple of good games. You can see all of his statistics, and this is what I'm using to calculate averages and standard deviations and all the figures and projections that we use here in the sheet. Come right from this game log tab. Daily minutes. This is something I also use RotoWire for. If I found RotoWire is better at estimating minutes than I am, so I will download their minutes a couple times a day. I try to do this on lock day right up until lock. I know a lot of you have to build earlier, so you kind of go with what you have at the time. But as injury news breaks, these change, so it'll look a lot different at the end of the day than it will in the morning. These minutes go directly into projected minutes tabs. It's just a lookup from that. And as those change, you'll see the ceiling minus L10 figures change. You'll see the projections change throughout the day. Same with the upcoming minutes, except this is multiple days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A lot on Thursday. And so the way this works is if a player has more than 1 game, we're looking at that first matchup of the week for that player. So whenever their name appears first on the list, it's however many minutes are in that game. So let's say Cedric Coward has 3 games. His Monday estimate is going to be the one we're using, since that's the most up-to-date. Assume he gets about the same amount of minutes the rest of the week that he would in his first matchup. This player list tab is just kind of something I use, just a series of lookups. And that brings us to team defense. I update this every day to put in new games. You can see how many games each team has played. You can see how many Sorare points they allow as a team. And you can see the difference from league average. So that's this column, league average up here, 232.3. So you can see OKC, far and away the best defensive team in the league, only allowing 206. Washington, far and away the worst defensive team in the league, allowing almost 270. And so when we factor in the defenses to our projections, we're adding a percentage or subtracting it in the case of OKC. So if someone's playing OKC, they lose 11% of their projection. If they're playing Washington, we add 15% to their projection. And everything else falls somewhere in between. So that's the main sheet. And this is all updated each morning. Every morning I put in the new game logs. I update the defensive stats. And I update each player's L10 score. So you can see it in real time in the cap droppers tab. You can also see that in the current game week tab over here. You can see the L10 change. But that's not all you get with a basic membership. So you get viewer access to this. You can use this to just create your lineups right from here if you like. We also have a member Discord. This is our Discord where we discuss all things NBA. We'll have strategy talk here. I have a place for you to post your victories. You can throw a lineup up here, have the group take a look at it for you. We put up the cap droppers. I put anybody who has a cap drop of 3 or more. I do this every lock day, so you might want in those upcoming weeks. This is something I started a while ago, but I'm going to start doing again, and it's putting up some optimal lineups each morning. Of course, these do change during the day as new information comes out, but to give you an idea of a lineup that would work for these competitions, I'm going to start putting these up every lock day morning. We have a buying and selling tab. You can sometimes hit up a group member. We trade with each other. We make deals. We have members who are content creators, so this gives them a chance to put up their videos. And then this NBA News channel is tied into, it's actually a Blue Sky account that updates from the Underdog account, basically, and it will give you NBA News as it's posted on Twitter, right in real time here. A couple other links. So when we find a bug, I have a link for that. You can tell me if you see something that looks out of order, we'll get it fixed. My bug fixes page has videos showing how to deal with certain issues, how to fix things in your sheets. Also put up a Game Time Edge video each lock day showing like how many minutes each player is projected to get. Deal with the injuries. I show you who the best players are to pivot to if one of the stars is injured. And that brings me to Lucian's links. Now, Lucian is one of my original members from the summer of 24. Builds us things, and he builds us some really cool stuff. We have our rewards tracker. I'll just show you kind of what this does. So, first of all, first thing I like to look at a lot is the competition tab. So this shows us results and kind of do a score to shoot for when you're putting together your lineups. So obviously we look at top-end projections. So if your top-end projection isn't as high even as an average winner would be, I would say you probably don't want to play that lineup. But this goes through each competition and each scarcity and shows us what you probably need to place, what you need to win, what you need to hit the top 40 or so. So it just shows you thresholds you need to hit for different pay lines. Great tool. Another one I really like is our rewards tracker. And this is something he does for our group. You can just click on the dashboard here. And once you become a member, he adds your name to the list. And if you pop your name in, it'll show you your rewards for the year, how much you've won, what your best placement is. Success rate means you've won something from your entry. Shows you your scores over time. Cards won. You can narrow it down by scarcity or by game week or by competition. You can switch to daily competitions and look at those. So it just keeps all your stats for you. And he also built a crafting helper. And so there is a process with the crafting helper. I've made a video about that already. But you have to make sure you have updated the players that are in the certain pools. And then when you get a special room, you can select room you're in, whether you get a special star or a T2 or higher. And you can pop in all your settings. If you use clues, you can pop in the clues. And it'll show you which players will be eligible to be in those slots, and it helps you make a more informed decision. So that's the basic membership. Get both of those things: connection to the group, main sheet access, and Discord access. As far as the premium membership goes, in addition to all this, you would also get your own personalized gallery organizer, and I'll just show you mine. All right, so I'm going to run through this process of how all this works. Basically, we have API access to Sorare, and what the API does is it will download our gallery directly from the Sorare website. We just have to make sure that our slug is correct here in the settings tab. We have to make sure that this link is turned on. I do all that when I set the sheet up for you. And then to update, we just go to Gallery Update, Get Gallery. And so each time you update your gallery, whether it's buying new cards, selling some cards, you can do a new update, and you'll see it just continue to pull these cards as we go. There we go. All right, wow, I have a lot of comments. All right, and when it's done, you'll get this message that says it's all fetched. 1,756 cards. If you see this working thing at the bottom, it's annoying, but you can just refresh and it'll go away. All right, so you go to your current game week. Let's say it's a new current game week in daily pickup. That's taking that raw data from the gallery update tab that we just downloaded, and it's going to put it in this tab and this daily pickup tab next to it. And all this is controlled by scripts. We want a new game week. Going to clear everything out, and it's going to rewrite that data for us. And with bigger galleries, this can take a little while. It took about 20 seconds for mine. So the next thing I always do is sort, because it's all out of whack here. When it comes in, it's just going in order that you... So when you want to sort, I think the best way to sort is by value. That's that L10 minus the difference. Both tabs. And I like to know scarcity, then whether they're in season or classic, and then the difference. So I do that one. And so what does this show you? It shows your in seasons first, and then your classics. And it shows your limiteds first, your rares first. So scarcity, then in season or classic, and then by value. All right, so we got everybody we need in here. So we got everything sorted. Next thing I like to do, I don't want to take any chances when I make my lineups on guys who are questionable. I can always throw them in at the end if they lose their questionable tag. So I added something called mark injuries as NA. Click that, show you how that works. If they're out or questionable or doubtful, it will put this red NA in the assigned box. And that's important because our next step is to filter. We need to tell it which players to look at when we're building our lineup. And so if there's anything in this column N that says assigned, it will ignore it. I'll show you why that's important here in a second. But we want limiteds. I'm going to filter by the top 80, and I'm going to do a champion lineup. So we're going to do in-season competition. Hit apply, and you're going to see the word eligible pop up next to all the players that it's going to take a look at. So it takes a look at the top 80 players by value. Get as much value in our lineups as we can. Since it's an in-season competition, it looks for these cards first before it goes to the classics, because you're going to need 4 in-seasons and just 1 classic. And when you're building, let's say you have a Luka, and he is by far and away the best overall projection this week. I can run down my page here just to check, but definitely the brightest green color is Luka. I know I want him as my MVP, and if I know I want somebody in a lineup, I can type the word mandatory where it normally says eligible, and it will force them into the lineup. So next thing I do is go to suggested lineups, and I'm going to run one. So I'm going to go optimize champion, and it's going to take a look through all my cards, and it's going to pop out a recommendation here. So for the ones I have, it's popping up Luka, Şengün, Mathurin, Coward, Demon, Jaeger, Igor, something like that. That guy, the rookie for Brooklyn. So it's showing me that it gives me a 275-64. That's the ceiling projection for those players. So we want to see where that ranks. We can go back to the competition sheet. We're looking at limited champions. 274 would get me somewhere around that top 100. Could get me a prize of some sort here if I can hit 220. So, of course, these are ceilings. If the ceiling's 274, 220 is probably in play. On a great week, maybe they do even better. I think you can play that one. It's not a great lineup, but you could probably try it. This will help you make decisions where you want to put people. We have the one Luka. So let's say we wanted to see how that would look in a different lineup. Like we wanted that in a challenger. So we can use all of our classics in this one. All right, so in a challenger, we can get Barnes in there, DeRozan, and Coward, 312.8. And if we look at challenger, that 312, a little bit better chance of getting like a top 100 finish. But honestly, the prizes are better in champ. So, and if you can hit 240, you get that extra $5 bonus, get your streak started. This lets you build your lineups however you like. Rid of that. Let's make Luka not mandatory anymore, just eligible. Probably still going to put him in because he's a pretty high value as well. If Davis is okay to play tonight, looks like he's my top value. LaMelo, also questionable, only a 33 out of 10 right now, so he would be a decent value as well if he plays. All right, well, I hope that gives you some idea kind of lineup builder works. And of course, if you liked one, let's say you liked this challenger lineup, you decided to play that one, you could mark it as used, and you'd go ahead and throw it in on your Sorare account on another tab. And this will pop up showing you that it's marked them off. And it says challenger next to their name now. So when you go to build your next lineup, you would filter again, limit it again, filter by the top 80. I'm not going to check in season because we're building challengers. Apply the filters, and when I apply the filters now, since those are marked challenger, they will no longer be eligible for the next competition because you've already used them. You'll see that eligibility go away. There it is. And so when we go to build our next lineup, none of these players will be in it. Just build another challenger here to show you. So once you've used a card, it's no longer eligible if you have marked it. All right, and there's our next lineup, 297 with Jokic, Jalen Johnson, Sharp, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland. All right, kind of like that one too, honestly. 297. Let's say I want to use that. Pop it in Sorare, mark it as used in the sheet. And you'll see this little toast pop up in the corner telling you when it's marked. You go back, and now you'll see those players marked. All right, so that's the basics for lineup building. Of course, you can optimize any type of competition. For your daily pickup, you're going to use this daily pickup tab, and you can quick do a daily pickup sort because it doesn't matter on daily pickup whether you're using in-seasons or classics. So depending on what your priority is for what you're going for, they'll still show these as marked if you've already used them. What else can I show you? Oh, one other cool thing in here that was added was the daily missions tab. So you can generate a mission analysis here. So let's say there's a competition. Let's say we are on the home page and we see there is, you want somebody who scores 18 plus points in today's game. So we need at least 18 points. You can hit generate daily mission and it's going to run through the game logs and it's going to find each player that scored 18 plus points and tell you, and this is a tab at the bottom you can look at, tell you your hit rate here, like how often it's happened, and then it'll give you a recommendation on who you want to play there and what their average points per game is, how often they hit that threshold, all that good stuff. One last thing I want to go over here. You will occasionally see a player who has a blank L10. Let's see if I can find one here. Probably somebody in the comments. Most of the time, these guys are out of the league. So like Shelton, Derek Whitehead, not in the league right now. Occasionally, you'll find one who is in the league, doesn't have an L10, and normally it's because their name is not matching up correctly. We've had a lot of issues over the years with these names. My stat provider gives me one name, Sorare uses a different one, RotoWire uses a different one. So we have to try to reconcile all that, and it can cause a lot of problems. Let me see if I can find one. I know I was looking at Vít Krejci with the Hawks. Even guys like Jokic and Doncic sometimes will have an accent mark in one name and not in another. Well, here's one, Ron Harper. So Ron Harper should be Ron Harper Jr., and that's the reason his L10 isn't showing up. Now, he doesn't play much anyway, so he's pretty irrelevant. But my guess is if I put Junior here, it's going to put his L10 in. This is an issue with copying over the raw data, God, that's annoying, from the gallery update tab to the current game week in the daily pickup tab. And the way we rectify this, player list looks like he's backwards. So he needs to be Ron Harper Jr. and he's just Ron Harper. And I've got it backwards. All right. So next time it copies over, it should copy correctly. But if a name is incorrect, a lot of times it's because there's either an accent mark missing or there's one where there shouldn't be one. This is something we've been wrestling with for ages. I know Walter Clayton was giving me some problems earlier today. Deron Holmes. If you have a Walter Clayton and it says Walter Clayton Jr. and you delete the junior, his projection will populate. So we're trying to get it to a point where it'll automatically do it. It'll give you the right name. What it's supposed to do is look at this column for each player who has a name that appears in it and then correct it to this column. And it works most of the time, but sometimes it still doesn't work. So I'm not sure what's going on. I've been digging through the code trying to figure it out, but work in progress here. Bear with us. If you have questions, of course, reach out. If you find players that aren't projecting, please reach out. Here to try to make everything work as well as it can. And I want this to be as accurate as we can be. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for signing up. Appreciate you all being here. Let's have a great rest of the season.